Being completely immersed in your life makes it difficult to get your mind around it. Like to learning to swim while attempting to comprehend the ocean, you spend the most of your days trying to stay afloat. So, deciding what to do with them is not simple. Your life and how you choose to spend it. Distractions are in abundance. Your loved ones, close companions, routine jobs, interesting projects, and social circles. Reading books and playing video games. You also have a couch that needs to be used for resting. You can easily get lost. Now let's take a step back and examine your life objectively. The typical human viewer is in his or her mid-20s. In most people's lives, this is a relatively nice time. Teenage years' worth of insecurities are starting to go. It's possible that you land a job or a committed relationship. You might have established a family or be pursuing additional education. Perhaps you don't do any of it, but you still want to take pleasure in life, in whatever sense you define it. You could also feel stuck and be unsure of where to go. Approximately 1 in 20 viewers of this film will survive to 100. Assuming you are one of the fortunate ones, you were given 5,200 weeks of life to live when you were born. The first 600 weeks of your life were spent as a child, and the last 400 as a teenager. You weren't really useful to society at this period, and your decision-making freedom was limited. You were partially exempted from the consequences and obligations of adulthood as a reward. Largely because well-intentioned adults shielded you by tidying up your messes and gave you time to figure yourself out. This period is required to transform you into a functioning human, at least in principle. Despite the fact that most people undoubtedly stop feeling that way after puberty. Nonetheless, by the time you reach the age of 20, more than 1,000 of your 5,200 weeks will have already passed. Depending on your goals, you may already be working or have started furthering your education at this point. There are many different ways to enjoy yourself throughout this stage of your life. If you choose to learn a trade or need to work to support yourself or others, the serious side of life starts early. If you choose to attend college, you get to put off starting a job a little longer. In any case, the majority of people begin working for pay at the latest in their 20s. This marks the start of the productive or possibly difficult or soul-crushing phase of your life. Individuals typically continue to work until they are 65. In other words, you will work seriously for at least 2,000 weeks of your life. Ideally, this labor will make you feel good and respected or will improve the world. This is such a crucial topic that we'll discuss job and how to try to find a fulfilling career in a different video. For the majority of people, this period represents the bulk of their lives. During this period, they may have children, travel a little, advance professionally, construct a home, get divorced, and then find love again. In this stage, you move from being youthful to middle age to old age, but not really old age, more like the young old of your 60s. By the age of 65, you have worked 3,400 of your 5,200 weeks. Your life's final stage has begun. Theoretically, once you've amassed enough wealth to retire, you can spend the next 1,800 weeks doing whatever you want. Of course, for the majority of you watching this video, things don't operate like this. Only 19 out of 20 persons will live to be 100. In the US, 79 years is the average lifespan. Germany's value is 81. 84 in Japan. It is 75 in Brazil. You would only have 780 weeks of freedom after retiring if you passed away at the age of 80, which is still not too bad. That equates to around the same number of weeks of freedom you had as a child. Sadly, illness and old age fatigue throw you off, since as we become older, our bodies start to deteriorate quickly. For instance, those over 70 account for the vast majority of cancer-related deaths. If you staked everything on enjoying freedom and happiness in retirement, you run the risk of being sorely let down. And even then, it's still assumed that everything works out and that you live a long life. You can pass away in a vehicle accident at 48, get cancer at 32, or drown in a pool at the age of 7. At the age of 60, you can tumble from a ladder. Every day, the cosmos throws a lot of dice for each person, and somewhere on the earth, someone rolls a crucial failure. That person's life ends that day. More dice are rolled for you as you get older. Normally, you do not give much thought to any of this while you swim across the ocean of your existence, and that is okay. The future is this ill-defined odd thing, and life is interesting enough on its own. But periodically reflecting on it can help you to refocus on your goals and reduce the amount of regret you will feel in the future. And to remind you that tomorrow may not present itself to you if you don't make use of your time now. Making choices amongst all the things and people that are important to you can be difficult since life is complicated. During the coronavirus pandemic, this became brutally clear to billions of individuals. So many things that we took for granted were no longer available if you respected social distance. Traveling, dining out, going to public places, seeing friends, and meeting new people. Together time became precious and scarce. But the time you spend with the people you care about is already priceless. Consider your parents. You practically live with them every day when you're a kid. Your time together starts to decrease as you transition into adolescence and struggle to forge your own identity. But, as teenagers, you probably still see them frequently. However, as you get older and more individuals move out, this situation changes. For work, school, or just to be by themselves. Even if your parents live to be quite old, if you make an effort to spend 2 weeks with them every year for the rest of their lives, covering the major holidays, birthdays, and a little extra, you will still have already spent more than 90% of the time you will ever have with them. This number decreases much more if they pass away earlier or if you only see them sometimes. So, it is highly likely that you have already spent the most of your time with your parents. The same applies to your siblings or former friends who relocated to a different region of the country. You are spending your final moments with some of your most significant relationships. You'll see them one final time one day. In reality, everything else is the same. The idea of doing something for the final time is unsettling. It seems like something that should only be experienced by those who are on death row, very old, or something similar. But it frequently occurs. Do you have a pastime that you have neglected for a while? Perhaps you still own the Warhammer miniatures you intended to paint. Did you always yearn to go back to the spot where you had such a great time 10 years ago? Have you been meaning to get in touch with someone for a while but haven't yet? Or return to that sport in order to make new friends? Because life interferes and sometimes it is too late, it's possible that you won't ever do any of these things again. We will all soon be able to be with one another again and engage in enjoyable activities as the worldwide pandemic starts to wind down. There is never a terrible time to get in touch with a buddy or potential friend and express your excitement about hanging out. Yet regardless of when you are watching this, there are a ton of enjoyable, interesting, and gratifying things to do in life. You also get to choose what and who are important to you. But the most important thing is that you occasionally actually make decisions. Don't wait to live your life to the fullest. Thanks for watching.